Welcome, everyone, to the first edition of the Quarantine Film Series. The first edition. We're starting something new here. I'm your host, Kavir Segal. By now, you may know we've been hosting the concert series. We've done well over 40 episodes of the concert series. And to answer your question, no, I do not have a life. We thought we should do more concerts, more episodes. We're branching out and doing films now. And I'm broadcasting live from Atlanta, Georgia, from my parents' place, and they're under strict instructions not to be on the Wi-Fi right now so that we can get a strong signal. And the reason I think we wanted to branch out is because, we're living through a national emergency, and, we're going through an international crisis. And one of the most important things now is, physical distancing, not social distancing, but putting the spotlight on the people who deserve it. And a lot of the filmmakers out there, a lot of the film festivals have been canceled. And, when I opened up my email, I got these emails with like 20, 30 film festivals were canceled. And a lot of the festivals are important to put the spotlight on the artists, on the filmmakers, to give them a platform on promoting their works and helping their films get out there. So just like the musicians, the filmmakers, also artists, are affected by what's going on. And, I saw one estimate that, there's a $9 billion impact to the creative entertainment space in terms of lost earnings this year. And so if you know someone who's a filmmaker, someone who's a musician, reach out to them, become a patron, support their work if you can, and let's try to be innovative. So this film series is an extension of what we've been doing. And we're going to try something new. We've contacted just a handful of directors that we really enjoyed learning about their films, and I'm very excited today to be able to introduce you to two really, really capable and talented, top-rate filmmakers. We're going to get into that, and I want to welcome to the show Matt and Rosie. Welcome to the show. Let me make sure you're unmuted here, and welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Of course. Well, first tell me, where are you broadcasting from?
We are broadcasting from our apartment in Brooklyn. You're hearing an Australian accent, but we are based in Brooklyn now. And we're in lockdown here and have been for the last few weeks. But that's not too different for us. We usually live and work from home, so we haven't had to change too much of our daily routine.
Yeah, this is our one-bedroom apartment / full film studio, so full service production studio.
Gotcha. So how has the quarantine affected what you were going to be doing? What would you be doing right now if there was no quarantine?
Well, with no quarantine, we would have had the world premiere of our new film at South by Southwest. So that's probably the biggest change to us. Our new documentary, We Don't Deserve Dogs, was wrapped up, finished, wrapped up into a bundle and ready to go. And we were about to premiere at South by, and then they cancelled it about a week before everyone went into the more extreme version of lockdown. So since then, we've sort of kind of had not much to do, I guess.
Yeah.
Was it when you got the news that South by was canceled? How did you feel? Were you devastated? Did you kind of understand the situation? Like, what was going through your mind?
We saw it coming. There'd been a lot of pressure on them in the week leading up to the announcement of the cancellation. So the cancellation itself wasn't a huge surprise. And I think at the time, people maybe thought it was a bit of an overreaction, but obviously it's been proven to be the correct decision.
Yeah, and I think at the time we were, it was really the first major international event anywhere in the world to be cancelled. And, I think at first, quite selfishly, our thought was, are they going to cancel this and then everything's going to suddenly return to normal and that will be like the limit of the cancellation? But of course, I think they probably made pretty much the right move, because by the time South by's dates actually came around, there probably wouldn't have been much going on in America. I think pretty much everything was shut down by then. Yeah.
So tell me, I know what your film is about, but tell me, for people who don't know about your film, what is the premise of your film? What is your film about?
Okay, so our film is called We Don't Deserve Dogs, and it's a look at the relationship between humans and dogs all across the world. So we filmed in 11 countries, just telling really personal stories about individuals and the dogs in their lives.
I have to ask, are you dog owners?
Oh, I wish. We're not allowed to have one in our apartment.
Really?
Yeah. Well, because we're renting. But we both grew up with dogs. Like in Australia, everyone has a dog. So yeah, we both have families that have had dogs forever. But right now, we're not allowed to.
And I think also, the work we do is sort of like a two-person filmmaking crew that travels the world making films. We're sort of not at home enough to, I think, show a dog the love they require. So it's probably a smart move.
I mean, it's a great topic. I think everyone can relate to this, but the way you ask the question, do we deserve dogs, puts the emphasis on the dog's perspective of what they're getting out of humans. Why did you pick this topic? I mean, there's any film you do is a multi-year project, right? You've got to love the topic. So what was it about this topic that struck you that you had to pick this topic?
Yeah, I think for us it was, we had made this previous film in 2017 called Barbecue, which was about barbecue culture around the world. And I think we've always just been looking for these sort of things that you go around the world, and maybe in Western culture you think, oh, something like dogs. Oh, we're the only people that have dogs. Surely not everyone around the world does. But as you travel, you sort of see, actually, this is something that's really common across many cultures. And I think what makes it a compelling story for us is that it's a way to show that people have this very common thing, this love for this animal, but that the way that it plays out differently against different cultures are a great way to show and celebrate the differences between cultures as well.
Yeah, I hear you. So when did you start the production process for this?
Oh, it was a couple of years ago. We started with research and we started filming around September 2018. Yeah.
About that, yeah.
And we filmed for about a year, on and off. So this was a totally independent production. So basically we would, raise up some money, go film part of the film, come home, work on it, and then head out again. So the filming process was about a year, and then editing was quite quick for us. We pulled it together in a couple of months.
Yeah, we sort of edit on. We have basically everything we make is 2 backpacks of equipment. So we take our laptop with us, edit on the road, and that sort of thing. So by the time it actually came to editing the film, we sort of came back. And what's funny is that we pretty much had locked ourselves in this apartment to edit and work on the film for about 2.5 months straight. We were just about ready to emerge back into society, and then we were sent back inside again. So we're very used to this quarantine. We're used to being isolated and alone and stuck in a dark room all the time anyway.
Yeah, I mean, of course. And then tell me, the way you've chosen to tell this is through sort of these narratives, these different characters. How did you go about choosing? I mean, it's so varied, and just in the pictures we're seeing on the screen, how did you choose how to pick the people and which dogs to show throughout the creation of this project?
Well, yeah, we start with, Googling, basically. We do a lot of online research. You start learning about, potential ideas. And then we would reach out to people in those countries and those cities and talk to them and find out whether what we were reading about online actually happens in real life. And you're informed a lot by the people you talk to. I remember when we called our researcher in Lima, Peru, and she was just bursting with ideas from, just her daily life. She's like, the girls here are having dogs instead of having babies, that they're treated like a child effectively, with these giant birthday parties and celebrations like this. So yeah, we would always find a local person that would become our researcher and translator, and they would head out into their communities and come back to us with potential subjects. I
see. Is there anyone that stands out to you? I'm sure you love all of them, but is anyone that stands out to you as ones that are particularly gripping or revelatory?
Picking your favorite is a bit hard. It's sort of like picking your favorite child. I mean, one of the things that I find amazing is how sort of just sometimes stories line up really perfectly. And Rosie had been reading about this group in Uganda that had been working with former child soldiers and where they'd been training dogs as a way to help them get over their PTSD, and the dogs themselves are, as you can see on the screen now, and these dogs were also stray dogs, so it's sort of this symbiotic way that they all help each other. And it was just, Rosie found out about the story and contacted the group in Uganda, and they said, sure, come over. And then we just went over and, they helped us connect with all of these different former child soldiers. And, that was such a powerful story that, when we started the movie, we knew nothing about. It was the second to last story we filmed, and it just sort of, one of the great things about being independent and sort of self-funded and just the two of us means that when we hear that story, we can just sort of jump on a plane and go capture it. We don't have to sort of think and plan out and schedule and get permission from someone to go do it. We can just do it. So stories like that.
Yeah, that was a very powerful story. Another one that jumps to mind is in Pakistan, on your screen right now. We wanted to do a story about Muslim dog ownership, because obviously that's a very different way of looking at the relationship between humans and dogs. And we went to Karachi, Pakistan, where our subject there she's sort of a bit of a rebel in many ways, but she is a strong, devout Muslim. But she rescued a dog from it was left on the street to die. He was very badly injured. She took him in and kept him and nursed him back to health, and has fallen in love with this dog despite her family and her friends all telling her that she should get rid of him.
Wow, very powerful to see how the relationships across different countries. Why dogs? Why do you think humans have this relationship with dogs? There's so many species in the world and different animals. Why have humans and dogs formed this unique bond? What is your thought on that?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's obviously we've had a lot of opportunities to sort of ponder this question over the last 2 years, and I think it's kind of like, I don't have a great answer for why specifically dogs, but I was just surprised how much it is dogs, like pretty much everywhere in the world. And I think it's something about the loyalty and that sort of blind loyalty that they show humans. And that's, I think, what with the title, We Don't Deserve Dogs, we were sort of trying to look at it sort of like, so the dogs offer this love to us, but what do we do? What do we do, both in, like, not just as individuals, but as an entire global society do to deserve, are we, I think there's that famous phrase, be the person that your dog thinks that you are. And so, I think there's something about the dogs just love us unconditionally, and I think that works quite well for humans.
Totally. What's the journey? I know we go around the world, but I don't want you to spoil it. But what do you think is the journey of this? Is it they say there's 7 types of stories in the world, right? Maybe you've heard that. Is it sort of like the dog is the hero of the story? What is the path you take us on throughout this movie?
Well, I think there's a lot of really specific individual stories, but I think the whole point of this film is that when you view them all together, you get that broad global context. So while each story might have a particular theme, it's really, at the end of the day, it's just, I think.
I think we've sort of, with all of our work, we've tried to sort of paint this sort of global tapestry, because I think, and that's we're very fortunate. We have the ability to, fluidly move around the world and sort of do this one giant global portrait that comes across in one whole film. And I think, it's been interesting with the world sort of being shut down for the moment, that it's made us think a lot about that global question, and is the world richer for being part of this sort of one global society? And I think, for us, that's one of probably the biggest parts of the story, is who are we as a human race? What are the things that bind us together? What are the sort of core elements of being human that, unite us? And then at the same time, whilst being able to celebrate some pretty unique differences between the way people are in the world. So you've got in Nepal, you've got a day of dog worship. But then, in Scotland, it's just as simple as, sitting in the pub with your dog by your side. So these sort of stories that sort of bind us while celebrating differences are really important to us.
I gotcha. And then I just recently put together my first movie, and I didn't realize how much work it takes. It's it's wonderful, but it can also be a nightmare at the same time. Tell me the biggest hurdles for you putting this project together. What are some of the challenges you had to confront as you made this movie?
I think financing is always a tough one. We had our previous film, Barbecue, we were lucky enough to get some funding from the Australian government funding system. This time we wanted to be really independent and really have the ability to do what we want. So we sort of ended up effectively self-financing it and getting it going that way. So that's one thing, but then that also creates other challenges because, you know, we love working independently, love having our own vision and achieving it, but then at the same time, you've got no boss, you've got no deadline. So like, and there's a lot of people are probably realizing as they're sort of sitting in their apartments at the moment, having no deadline or no finish point, like means that you have to have a lot of self-drive. So there were, you know, sort of like, you'd be sort of like, and you know, we went overseas for like 60 straight days, you know, shot stuff, it's physically tiring, it's difficult work, and you come back and then you go, well, that's about 11% of the film shot, right? Only another year and a half to go. So it's sort of keeping that energy and sort of trying to bring together the big story in like time, like, you know, you get about 1 or 2 shots done a day. And then you sort of, you know, how it's all going to come together.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, physically quite demanding. Dogs run fast. Like, I remember filming in Istanbul. We were filming a dog walker in Istanbul, city of cats, but this guy's a dog walker. And he walks, I think, 30 kilometres a day. So what's that in miles? What, 12 miles or something?
Yeah.
He walks a long way every day. And we were struggling to keep up with this guy. Like, he moved fast. And I remember we had to keep telling him, can you just slow down a little bit? And he would tell us, I was already half the speed I normally am. So yeah, we definitely got quite fit making the film, that's for sure.
Yeah, awesome. Is there, and now, are you maintaining it now that you're quarantined? Are you maintaining your physically fitness?
Absolutely
no.
Tell me about the post-production process. Did you handle most of that yourself? Were you editing? How about the music and stuff? What were you doing in the post-production?
Yeah, so with the exception of music, everything we do is literally in this room that you see right now. So, you know, I believe that, you know, that the way films are made now, you sort of can do it smaller and more boutique, and that gives it a real personal touch because we've sort of seen this footage all the way through from an idea to the very final picture. So we do the color processing here. We've set up a 5.1 surround mixing studio in this tiny little bit between 2 rooms in our apartment. And then the final element of was music, where we actually teamed up with a guy from Alabama, Blake Ewing, and this is actually his first feature film. He's done a lot of short projects and other types of music, and we had just come across his music on the internet, and we were listening to all sorts of different composers and musicians, and you know, I would play one of his tracks, and Rosie would come and go, I like that one. I'm like, oh, it's the same guy from that you liked last time, and I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. And then we teamed up with him, did it completely remotely, so he was, you know, he equally had a basement bunker that he worked out of. So yeah, I think this film's a really good celebration of what you can do as a sort of DIY method.
Absolutely, there's literally no excuse.
There's no excuse.
We've got 2 high-powered laptops. We can edit on the road. We can edit in our apartment. We can color grade. We can sound mix. Like, we used to work on much bigger productions involving tons of people, and as time has gone on, we've got smaller and smaller and smaller. So, like, even on set, you know, a few years back, I decided I would learn to record sound. I could pick up a boom and record sound rather than having to bring a third person, you know, along for the shoot.
And it leads to a real intimacy, I think, in the work, because, you know, we talk to people, we engage with them. These are everyday people, not people that have been in films before, not media trained. And so to be just like, you know, we're a couple in real life, it's just the 2 of us. And, you know, there's a certain intimacy that we have with a small camera like this. We can sit and talk all day long. It's just us and the translator, as opposed to there being, you know, 20 people behind the camera. I think, you know, it starts with that intimacy, and then we try to see that through like every element of the production.
Yeah. Speaking about intimacy, this question I get a lot on the concert series: how is it being in a relationship and also working together? How do you navigate that?
Well, it's been a while now, like 13, 14 years or so.
Like when we met, I just started making movies, so like. Yeah,
look. We're nuts. There's no denying. It's like it's definitely not something I would recommend.
I mean, it does allow certain things, like we can travel. You know, like we've spent something like 400 days filming on the road over the last 4 years or something like that. But, you know, we can sort of just take our life on the road wherever we go. We're not away from family. Like, I think this would have been impossible if you had to uproot from your life to film. So we sort of take life on the, you know, we're newly minted immigrants to America ourselves. So we're sort of constantly, you know, have backpack, will travel kind of mentality. So in terms of relationship, it just means that it just sort of folds in as part of it, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, we kill each other. We want to kill each other.
Yeah, you have to. I've learned that the best thing to do is to like, if you're going to have an argument, really have it all the way out, solve it, and then get back to work.
Yeah, maybe that's the source of a new movie for you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Filmmakers is in relationships and filmmaking. What is the? I know it's a tough question. What is the next step for the film? Where are you guys currently in this getting the message out campaign?
It's a tricky one to answer because we're not sure how or when, you know, people will be able to be back in the cinema for a film festival, for example. So I mean, look, the obvious solution is streaming, and we are working on that side of things at the moment. You know, for us, we would have loved to have seen the film up on the big screen, and I'm sure that we'll get that opportunity down the line, but we do want to get the film in front of an audience, as big an audience as possible, and streaming is the obvious answer. So we are hoping to find a partner on that.
And I think it's also just a question, like, because I know a lot of people are saying around the film industry, like, oh, surely everyone wants content right now. And they do, but they themselves are also struggling with this shutdown and quarantine. And I think people go like, oh, surely all the big streamers are just going to buy up everything on the planet and distribute everything. But, like, you know, the people that are involved in making those decisions, they're also roaming the streets looking for toilet paper. You know, they've got their own challenges as well. So I think it just means, like, you know, we've worked on this film for several years now. I think for us, we're just going to be really patient and calm and, like, make sure we do it right, because you kind of only get one crack at releasing a film.
Yeah, so it's difficult because like film festivals are in a tricky position where they want to try and offer something to their people, to their you know, viewership. So you're starting to see festivals doing online things and that kind of thing, and we can't commit to that just yet.
Because we're in the unknown as well, yeah.
Exactly. So yes, we're in that awkward middle point now, and hopefully things will become a bit clearer in the next few weeks.
Gotcha. So for people watching this, I know they can't, you know, turn on a streaming platform and watch your movie. So how can they engage with you? Where can they find you online so that when you do have news to announce, they can get word of it?
Yep. So social media. So we're Urtext Films on Facebook, Urtext on Instagram, Urtext on Twitter. And we've got our own website, urtextfilms.com. We're pretty good at keeping all of those platforms up to date. So as soon as we have something to announce, it will be going out everywhere.
Yeah, and I think just hook up with us on Instagram, follow us, and then we'll, you know, like, we're going to keep everyone up to date on what's going on.
Yeah, check out the link in the scroll, or textfilm.com. You know, as they mentioned, check them out on Instagram, all social media. It's really, I haven't seen the film, but I love the theme of it, the context, and it. You guys are two remarkable filmmakers. I saw your last one, which was awesome. So I'm excited to see when this comes out, and wish you all the best on this newest venture. And thanks for being the first guest on the Quarantine Film Series.
Thank you so much for having us.
Great. So, guys, keep it plugged here. We're going to keep doing the concert series, and we're going to keep doing these film interviews. And you can watch us on all my social media. Subscribe to get notified. Excuse me. So you're the first to know about nice, great new content. And stay home, stay safe, and all the best.